Ashley here with HeartHookHome.com, and today we are learning how to crochet the woven lattice stitch. This stitch is gorgeous. It's nice and open and airy, which works great for things like this Maddie Ruana that I just published on HeartHookHome.com. Isn't this absolutely gorgeous? I love it. This stitch is easier than it looks. All you need to know how to make are single crochets and chains. We're going to stagger these in a way so that we have 1 stitch, 3 stitches, 5 stitches, 3 stitches, 1 stitch. So we're always going to have these little diamond shapes, and it actually is quite easy. Let's go ahead and get started. In order to make the woven lattice stitch, you need to start with a chain multiple of 8 plus 1 plus 1. So 8 is going to be the number needed for 1 full repeat, and then we're going to add 1 for the edge stitch and 1 for the side of the first row. So here in this swatch and also on this gray piece here, I have 24, which is a multiple of 8, plus 1 for 26 chains total. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to place a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. I like to go into the back bar, so I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to place a single crochet right in that stitch. Now we are going to place a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So we're going to start the very beginning of this project with 3 single crochets in a row, and that is going to make up the side right here. See how these are half of a diamond right here? So we're starting here in the middle of that. We've got 3 single crochets. Now I'm going to chain 5. I'm going to skip 3 chains, and I'm going to single crochet in the next 5. So I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3. I'm going to single crochet in this one, and the next 4, so 5 total here in a row. 2, 3, 4, and get situated, and 5. So here's my 5 single crochets in a row. Now we're going to chain 5 again, skip 3, and single crochet in the next 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 3, single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to chain 5. And now that we've reached the end of our chain here, we are going to skip 3, and we're going to single crochet in the last 3 chains. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so here we have our first row of the woven lattice stitch. Now we are going to chain 1 and turn. And starting with this row here, this is one that you are going to repeat over and over and over and over, okay? So in order, of course. Now that we have these 3 here, we're going to do 2 in the first. So I'm going to single crochet in the first, single crochet in the next. So now I've got 2. Now I'm going to chain 3. We're going to single crochet around this chain space from the previous row and chain 3 again. So we're creating this portion right here, right? 1, 2, 3. Single crochet around this chain space. Make that one a little bit tighter. I've noticed that that helps. 1, 2, 3 chains. Now we've got these 5 here, and in order to make that diamond shape that we were talking about, how it goes 1, 3, 5, 3, 1 to make these. So now that we've got 5 here, we're going to need to do a 3 on top of that to continue that diamond shape. So we're going to skip this first single crochet right here, and we're just going to single crochet in these 3 center stitches right here. So 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to single crochet around this chain space. This is the repeat, right? Make this just a tiny bit tighter. You don't want it to be too loose. Chain 3. Since this is a 5, we need to make it a 3, so I'm going to skip the first one and the last one and just single crochet in those 3 center stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Very nice. Chain 3. Single crochet around the chain space. Pull it a little tight. Chain 3. And now that we are at the end of our row, we've got these 3. We're only doing half of a diamond, so we're going to skip that first one still. We're going to have 2 single crochets as the last 2 stitches of this row. And that is another completed row. This really doesn't look like much at all until you get it fully done and blocked, so just continue on with me. It might look a little crinkly, might look a little funky, it's perfectly fine. So let's chain 1 and turn. So we had the 3, we have the 2, so now we're going to do just 1 solo single crochet in that first stitch. And that is the completed half diamond of the side of that row. So now I'm going to chain 3. Anytime you see these here, these are all chain 3s right here. We're never going to do more than 3 in between each one of these diamonds, okay? So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Now I've got 1 here, so I need to put 3, right? So I'm going to go on the side of this stitch, in the top of this stitch, and on the other side of this stitch, and that will give me 3. So I'm just going around this chain space right here, into the top of this single crochet, and then around the other side of the chain space on the other side. So now we are forming, or beginning to form, the bottom half of this diamond, right? Chain 3, since we're in between. Now we've got 3 single crochets here, and we need to end with 1. So I'm going to skip the first one and the last one. I'm just going to place 1 single crochet in that center stitch there. So that is the top half of that diamond. That is now completed. Chain 3. We're going to go around this chain space right here into the top of that actual stitch, and then around this chain space here. Chain 3. Skip the first single crochet and the last single crochet. We're just going to go into this center one there. Pull that just a little bit tighter. Chain 3. Go around the chain space here into the top of that stitch and around this chain space here. Pull it just a little bit tight. I always find that it's the single crochet that's on the left side here, or right side if you're left-handed, that needs to be pulled just a tiny bit tighter. Otherwise it kind of gets loosey-goosey and you kind of lose the integrity of the stitch here. Chain 3, and we're just going to place 1 single crochet. We're going to skip this one, 1 single crochet in the very last stitch. And that is the end of that row. Now we're going to chain 5 to start the new row. So here we are going to have this bit here to get the height needed in order to create this next diamond. So chain 5 and turn. Now we're looking at this next diamond that we've got here, and we're not quite to the halfway mark because we had the one here and then we had 3 here last row. So now we're going to place one on the outside, one on each of these 3, and then one on the outside here. So we've got 1, 3, and this will be 5 in our little diamonds, right? So we go around the chain space into each of those 3 stitches. And then around the other side of that chain space. Pull it just a little bit tighter. Chain 5 this time. One thing to note, right now we are going this portion right here. We're making this chain right here. So on the next row, we're going to go single crochet around it to pull it up. But right now we're doing the chain 5 right here. So on the rows that you do 5 single crochets, you're going to do a chain 5 and then 5 single crochets and then a chain 5. So we're going to do, whenever you do the 5s, you're always going to do 5 together, right? 5 and then 5 and then 5 and then 5. You can see that we have the 1 here, so that means that that is the top of the diamond from the previous row. So I've got my chain 5. I'm going to skip all of this business and I'm just going to do the next 5 single crochets around this diamond here. So I'm going to go into this chain space, into each of the next 3 single crochets, and around this chain space here. Pull it, chain 5, skip all of this business here, and we're going to go into these here. So a single crochet in that chain space in the next 3 stitches, and then around this chain space as well, right here. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to double crochet in the last one here. And what that does is when we made our chain 5 at the beginning of this row, it got us the height needed. So this counted as a double crochet on the side over here. Now this counts as a double crochet over here, right? So we've got the height needed in order to start these rows that have the half, or that don't have the half. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to place a single crochet in the top of that double crochet right here. And now that we're not on those 5, the rows that have all the 5s, we're always only going to have 3 chains in between every set, right? 1, 2, 3. Now since this row had 5, we know that we're working on the opposite side or the top side of the diamond, so I need to have 3 instead. So I'm going to skip the first one and do a single crochet in the 3 center stitches and skip the last. This is just helping to form that diamond shape. We've got our 3. Let's do a chain 3. Now we're going to crochet around this chain space like we did at the very beginning, and that is going to be the bottom of the next diamond, right? You can see how these stitches are starting to really open up. Do a chain 3, and now we're going to skip this one and do 1, 2, 3. Chain 3, go in around this chain space here, really helps to pull it up. And now you can kind of see it's kind of becoming more clear now. You can see that what we're doing is this part right here where we're opening up this square. Chain 3, skip this one, do 1, 2, 3 single crochets, chain 3, and now we're going to go into the 3rd chain from our turning chain. Remember when we did the 5? There was 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go into this one right here and do a single crochet. And there we have another completed row. Let's continue. Chain 1 and turn. We're going to since we have a 1 here, we know that we're going to build onto that diamond, so we're going to have 2. 1 in the top of that stitch and 1 around that chain space. Chain 3. Let's see, we've got 1, 3, 5, 3, so now we're going to do a 1. So we're going to skip the outside 2 stitches on that diamond and place 1 single crochet in the center right there. 1, 2, 3 chains. We've got 1 here, so we need to make it 3. So let's go on the outside of that stitch around the chain space, in the top of that single crochet, and around the other side of that chain space, or the other chain space. We're going to chain 3. Looking at our diamond, we know that we only need 1 stitch, so we're going to place it in the center there. Chain 3. Around this chain space, in the top of that stitch, around this chain space. Chain 3. 1 single crochet in the center stitch. Chain 3. We're going to single crochet around this chain space and in the top of the last stitch. Chain 1 and turn. Now we've got these 2, and the widest that these ever get, these half diamonds on the outside here, the widest those ever get is 3. So keep that in mind. Right now, last row we had 2, so this row we're going to have the 3. So I'm going to go into the first one, make a single crochet, and the second one, and then I'm going to go around that chain space. And the most you will ever have on these outside is the 3. So we know that at the end of the next row, we're going to go back to 2 and then 1, right? So now that we've got those 3 going, I'm going to chain 3, 4, 5, because I know, see how we have that 1 at the top of this diamond? We need to get all the way over to the next one. So I've got my chain 5 here, skipping all of this business like we did last time, and I'm going to go around this chain space here. And then I'm going to go in each of these 3 stitches. And around this chain space here. So now I've got 5. So for this diamond that I'm working on now, I've got the 1, I've got the 3, and I've got the 5. So next row, we're going to just do the 3, and then the row after that, just the 1 on the top, right? Once you get the groove of it, it goes pretty quick. You just have to get your bearings here. Around that chain space, into each of those 3 stitches, and around the next chain space to make sure that you have 5 single crochets in a row there. Chain 5, skip all of this business because you know that if there's a 1, you know that that's completed. So I'm going to go around this chain space and into each of the last 2 stitches for 3 on the side. So those rows that we just did, we're just going to alternate those over and over and over again. It's really quite simple, it's quite fun, it's quite easy. I'll do a couple more rows with you just to make sure that we completely understand what it is exactly we're doing. But see how they kind of look like little spiders? I've seen this stitch very similarly worked with a different number of chains. I've never seen one exactly done this way, so I wanted to make sure to do a dedicated video tutorial for this particular stitch set since we are using it in that new Maddie Ruana pattern, which is absolutely gorgeous. So we know for the half or the side of this half diamond that we've got, right? We have 1, we have 2, then we have 3. So now we're going to do 2 to make the top half of that diamond shape. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Now I'm going to do a chain 3. We're going to single crochet around this space here and then chain 3 and go into the next diamond. 1, 2, 3. Go around the chain space. Pull it up and get it out of the way, right? Chain 3, And now, since the last row we had 5, we know that we are only going to have 3. So we're going to skip the first one and the last one, and we're just going to single crochet in each of these 3 stitches in the center. 1, 2, 3. Chain 3. Single crochet around that chain space. Chain 3. Skip the first one, single, single, single. Chain 3. Go around the chain space, chain 3, and go into, skip that one, go into the last 2 stitches. And there's that. So you're just going to continue those crochet rows, and it's going to just create this beautiful, open, holy, beautiful stitch. I will say that whatever you're making with this stitch set, you're definitely going to want to block it when you're done. I do have a tutorial for blocking that I will put in the comments below. I do hope that you loved this video tutorial and that you will make the Maddie Ruana and share a photo with me, because it's absolutely stunning, very quick to work up, and fun to crochet too. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.